This is Resonance 104.4 FM. Flipping marvellous. How you doing? 'Tis I, Nicholas of Hennegan. Yes, Nick Hennegan coming at you once more on the airwaves and frequency modulated bits, and of course evermore online at Resonance FM, and of course also now at bohemianbritain.com, our new kind of mess of a website, really. There's blogs and videos and these radio shows, which is rather glorious to know, isn't it? It's called Bohemian Britain, I've mentioned before, because this show, the podcast from Resonance FM, was voted the number 2 of the top 10 Bohemian podcasts in the world to follow. Ooh. And then I got thinking, what's a Bohemian podcast? Is that one where you're kind of starving when you make it? Mm-hmm. Or when you record it in a kind of a little garret at the top of a broken down establishment? Anyway, that was the result, and Bohemian Britain is going rather well, actually. We've got quite a few people now listening around the world, which is rather lovely. And if you are listening for the first time, then hello, how are you? Well, now then, a word of warning. I celebrated, and in fact I wrote a blog post about it, because one of the things when you start writing full-time that tends to suffer is your credit rating. Yes, I know, incredible, isn't it? What do you mean, they say? Computer says no. So I was delighted to actually get a phone contract for the first time in about 10 years. And I've had the phone for a month and I've had it nicked. Yeah, what can you do? Yeah. Of course it's not insured. I forgot that bit, didn't I? So my, if you see an iPhone 14 going cheap, iPhone 14 Pro, was it the big one? Yeah. Then give them a smack. And what's even kind of more, and the reason I'm sharing this with you is, well, two things. One is beware. I was at the Curzon Cinema in the Coffee Bar, which is one of my occasional Soho offices when I'm around. And a boy came in, he must have been about 14, I would say East European, judging by his accent, and showed me a piece of a paper, a newspaper. I mean, look at it, give me, I didn't quite understand what he was saying, give me a pound. But of course, he didn't really want a pound. What he did was he was putting the newspaper over my phone, and while I was distracted, he had it away. And I did think, as a beggar, as someone that was sort of looking for money, I thought he disappeared quite quickly. And of course, it was a little bit later that I realised my phone had gone. And I've tracked it. It's in East London now. Would you like the address? No, maybe not. Even spookier, when I tracked it originally, it came up in a little park behind the Phoenix Theatre off Shaftesbury Avenue. So I went and had a look. Couldn't find it. And then I popped into the local Spoons to use the Wi-Fi to tell people I couldn't call them anymore. And I thought, I'll just have another quick look. And as I did, I went back to the park, and this kid, the lad, walked round the corner. And I came up behind him and I said, I know you, don't I? And whoosh! The look of terror on his face. And off he shot. And there were two things, really. One is, I'm going to build that into a story soon. The other thing is, well, two things, no, three things actually. I'm really narked that for the next 3 years I'm going to be paying 35 quid a month for something I haven't got or can't use. The other thing was how it's kind of worrying, isn't it? I mean, you know, we know Oliver Twist and Fagin and all that kind of stuff. How is it that a boy of about 12 or 13, maybe 14, is doing that? Yeah, I'm sure they don't teach that at school, do they? And I was quite concerned for him. And I'm also kind of glad. I actually thought at one point of grabbing him, but I thought, well, you can't, can you really? For all sorts of reasons. And then, as a mate of mine said, it's only a phone. Although, of course, it's become my main work tool. I don't record this, lads. Oh, my goodness, no, I've got very high, posh Rode microphones and all sorts. Look at that. Listen to that. I'm stereo as well. Listen to that. Yeah. Oh, yeah, but I use it for everything else. But I should get another one. So just a word of warning, really. What's even kind of more galling is that a couple of 3 years ago, we were in Hammersmith tube station, me and a missus, the bird. Oh, so I shouldn't say that. I'm just doing that provocatively. And we actually watched a bloke who spread out a tube map, which apparently is the usual way of doing it, and asking a woman sitting at a table outside having a coffee for directions. And I saw his hand disappear under the thing and pick up his phone. And I sort of shouted and he ran off. Anyway, so I sort of should have been aware, but I wasn't. But I hope you are now. So look out for distraction. I think it's called distraction, things, isn't it? And as I say, yes, I've tracked my phone. I don't suppose I'm going to get it back, really. And like I say, it is only a phone. And I should turn this. I should turn my turn my machines off, shouldn't I? It is only a phone. And I'm slightly more concerned about the boy who nicked it, because it ain't a healthy place to be. Anywho, let's not get too philosophical because today is one of our legendary request shows. That's as close as I get to a roll on my drums. And of course, we do this every now and again. When I get enough requests, we just bung them all out. And Rachel has been in touch. Rachel lives in Chelsea. And she said, it was Paddy's night, wasn't it? St. Patrick's Day. Of course it was. My surname's Hennegan. Yeah, I know a thing or two about a thing or two. And there's a lot of Irish, particularly in West London, which is where I lurk. And she said, I saw your video from the Raven pub in Hammersmith. Oh, did you? Yes, I occasionally do pop in there. Yes, it's near Stamford Brook Tube Station. That's my excuse. Yes, it's kind of a groovy little place run by an Irish lad. And she said, I saw your video of the Irish dancers, and it was great. And it suddenly occurred to me that you played a song ages ago by the Pogues, but it wasn't one of the established songs. It was about London and it raining. Could you play it again? Now, I think, Rachel, you're talking about the Pogues and A Rainy Night in Soho, which is a favourite song of, in fact, the Raven pub. The gaffer that runs it there, he's a big fan of the Pogues. He said he's going to buy everyone a drink, should any of them pass away. And Rachel said that could you also play one or two, at least one more of the more traditional Pogues songs? So, of course, Rachel. It's St. Patrick's Day is always a celebration. My folks are from Mayo, County Mayo. In Ireland, a little place no one's ever heard of called Bunnyconlon. There's a fair there every year. You may know that. Yeah? And Bunnyconlon's fantastic. I mean, literally the high street. Well, it's about 200 yards long, and there's a petrol station on the one side. And up until a few years ago, and I've actually not been back for a few years. In fairness, there was one shop that was kind of the post office and the funeral parlour and the pub. And literally, that was the one shop, you know. But it's gorgeous, lovely, beautiful place is Ireland. And so, for you, of course, as you know, the Pogues. I won't tell you what Pogue Mahone stands for because this show goes out in the daytime. But look it up, Pogue Mahone. It's a bit of a joke. And old Sean and the Pogues, of course, came to London and did extremely well. And Shane McGowan was... I haven't seen him for a long time, but he was a fairly resident denizen of Soho in central London. And that's why I think this is such a lovely song.
I've been loving you a long time, down all the years, down all the days, and I've cried for all your troubles, smiled at your funny little ways. We watched our friends grow up together, and we saw them as they fell. Some of them fell into heaven, some of them fell into hell. I took shelter from a shower, and I stepped into your arms on a rainy night in Soho. The wind was whistling all its charm. I sang you all my sorrows, you told me all your joys. Whatever happened to that old song, to all those little girls and boys? I'd wake up in the morning the ginger lady by my bed, covered in a cloak of silence. I'd hear you talking in my head. I'm not singing for the future, I'm not dreaming of the past, I'm not talking of the first times. I never think about the last. Now the song is nearly over. We may never find out what it means. Still there's a lot I hold before me. You're the measure of my dreams, the measure of my dreams.
Ah, that's gorgeous, isn't it? Shane MacGowan and the Pogues and A Rainy Night in Soho on this request show on Resonance 104.4 FM, or also, as I say, on bohemianbritain.com if you missed the show live. And that was for Rachel in Chelsea. And she also said, can you play something a little bit more traditional from the Pogues? Go on then.
On the 4th of July, 1806, we set sail from the sweet cove of Cork. We were sailing away with a cargo of bricks for the Grand City Hall in New York. 'Twas a wonderful craft, she was rigged fore and aft, and oh how the wild wind drove her. She stood several blasts, she had 27 masts, and they called her the Irish Rover.
We had 1 million bags of the best lager rags. We had 2 million barrels of stone. We had 3 million sides of our blind horses' hides. We had 4 million barrels of bones. We had 5 million hogs, 6 million dogs, 7 million barrels of porter. We had 8 million piles of old nanny ghost tales, and a whole of the Irish Rover.
There was old Mickey Coote, who played hard on his flute when the ladies lined up for a set. He would tootle with skill for each sparkling quadrille, till the dancers were flutered and bet. With his smart, witty talk, he was cock of the walk, and he rolled the dames under and over. They all knew at a glance when he took up his stance that he sailed in the Irish Rover.
From the banks of the Lee, there was Hogan from Kelsey to Hull. There was Johnny McGurk, who was scared stiff of work, and a man from Westmeath come along. There was Slugger O'Toole, who was drunk as a rule, and fighting Bill Tracy from Dover. And your man, Mike McCann, from the banks of the Bank, was the skipper on the Irish Rover.
For a sailor, it's always a bother in life. It's so lonesome by night and by day that he longs for the shore and a charming young whore who will melt all his troubles away. All the noise and the rout, swilling, putchin and stout, for him soon is done and over. Of the love of a maid, he is never afraid that I'll solve from the Irish rover. We had sailed 7 years when the measles broke out and the ship lost its way in the fog. And that whale of a crew was reduced down to two, just myself and the captain's old dog. Then the ship struck a rock, oh Lord, what a shock. The boat, it was turned right over. Turned 9 times around, and the poor old dog was drowned. And the last of the Irish rover. In Dublin's fair city, where the girls are so pretty, I first set my eyes on sweet Molly Malone, as she wheeled her wheelbarrow through the streets broad and narrow, crying cockles and mussels, alive, alive, oh, alive, alive, oh, alive, alive, oh, crying cockles and mussels, alive, alive, oh. She was a fishmonger, and sure 'twas no wonder, for so were her father and mother before, and they wheeled their barrow through the streets broad and narrow, crying cockles and mussels, alive, alive, oh, alive, alive, oh, alive, alive, oh, crying cockles and mussels, alive, alive, oh. Died of a fever, and sure no one could save her, and that was the end of sweet Molly Malone. Now her ghost wheels her barrow through the streets broad and narrow, crying cockles and mussels, alive, alive, oh, alive, alive, oh, alive, alive, oh, crying cockles and mussels, alive, alive, oh, alive, alive, oh, alive, alive, oh, crying cockles and mussels, alive, alive, oh.
Had I the heavens embroidered cloths, enwrought with golden and silver light, the blue and the dim and the dark cloths of night and light and the half-light, I would spread the cloths under your feet, but I, being poor, have only my dreams. I have spread my dreams under your feet. Tread softly, because you tread on my dreams.
I couldn't help but slip that in. He Wishes for the Cloths of Heaven by W.B. Yeats. Especially for Cal Hal Dallett on our request show. He didn't ask for it, but I know he'd like it. Cal Hal is an Irish poet, him and his wife, Anne-Marie. And they've done a great job with kind of immortalising W.B. Yeats, who spent a large part of his his formative years here in West London, in Chiswick, or Bedford Park more exactly. There's a fantastic enwrought light sculpture, which was taken from the poem, and if you're a regular to this show, you'll know we covered it in the opening, and if not, go to bohemianbritain.com and have a look back through the archives. There's a lot of people there. There was I won't go on about it now, but yeah, have a look. W.B. Yeats, there's now a trail which you can use with a smartphone. Don't mention smartphones! I know I'm never going to get it back, but what about the thief? He was so young. Anyway, okay. So, if you've got a smartphone, or maybe I will again one day, then check out the trail that starts around Bedford Park. Bedford Park was one of the first kind of artists' colonies in West London when the trains arrived, I believe. And W.B. Yeats spent a large part of his boyhood there. And in fact, one of his more famous poems, called The Lake of Innisfree, is allegedly, quite likely, inspired by Chiswick 8. Now, if you watched the boat race the other day, I went down there briefly for it. When I had a phone, I did a little video, which I was going to put on bohemianbritain.com, but my phone's got nicked. Did I mention my phone's got nicked? Hey? All right. Yeah. But apparently there is a rumour, more than a rumour, a strong case that the poem the Lake Isle of Innisfree, which I believe he wrote in about 1937, was motivated by Chiswick 8. And Chiswick 8 is this funny little island in the middle of the Thames. So if you ever see the boat race, which was on last weekend, as we say this now, in 30th of March, not 30th of March, where are I? End of March anyway, 2023, because I know people listen to this at various times. You'll see it, and it's kind of a little islet, and it's called Chiswick 8. It's not spelled 8 at all. Yeat. I used to get that wrong a lot when I first came to London. But it's interesting that little island in the middle of the Thames, well, actually not in the middle of the Thames, sort of on the side of the Thames, was apparently the inspiration for this rather beautiful poem by W.B. Yeats.
I will arise and go now and go to Innisfree, and a small cabin build there of clay and wattles made. 9 bean rows will I have there, a hive for the honey bee, and live alone in the bee-lown glade. And I shall have some peace there, for peace comes dropping slow, dropping from the vales of the morning to where the cricket sings. There midnight's all a glimmer, and noon a purple glow, and evening full of the linnet's wings. I will arise and go now, for always night and day I hear lake water lapping with low sounds by the shore, while I stand on the roadway or on the pavements grey. I hear it in the deep heart's core. Another emblem there, that stormy white, but seems a concentration of the sky, and like the soul it sails into the sight, and in the morning's gone no man knows why, and is so lovely that it sets to right what knowledge of its lack had set awry, so arrogantly pure a child might think it can be murdered with a spot of ink. Sound of a stick upon the floor, a sound that somebody that toils from chair to chair. Beloved books that famous hands have bound, old marble heads, old pictures everywhere, Great rooms where travelled men and children found content or joy. A last inheritor where none has reigned but left the name and fame, or out of folly into folly came.
That was a rather old recording, wasn't it? But brilliant. W.B. Yeats there reading his poem, The Lake Isle of Innisfree. Allegedly motivated, encouraged, inspired by Chiswick 8 in West London. As I say, if you get to West London, come out of Hennegan Tube, turn right, and you'll see the church there with the enwrought light sculpture. And take your phone. If you've got one! I won't go on about that now. And follow the trail. It's brilliant. I might actually try and do it and report back to you later on this year. It's our fire request show, and our final request comes from Pete. Pete said, I saw your rather brilliant Romeo and Juliet in the Tabard Theatre. Oh, year before last. I think it was the year before last, wasn't it? Oh, thanks, Pete. Yeah, but I mean, that was a while ago. He said you had this real kind of banging song at the start. Could you play it for me? I think I know what you mean, Pete.
With a heavy heart, and I dare not turn the pages, biting with automatic self-destruction. It's a blind faith, a cruel waste, one bitter taste. So I know I need this sweet sensation. Is a man now to do with his mind when it's working overtime? The best I can do is now dance with the devil. I keep my soul safe, I won't waste this time and space. So I know I need this sweet sensation.
Chasing status, no more idols. And that's it, we've run out of time. I'll see you next week. This is Resonance 104.4 FM.